Hello Cowboys Nation, welcome to another video, and without further ado, let's get to another round of news from America's team. Cowboys playoff hopes hanging by a thread after loss to Lions. The Dallas Cowboys traveled to Ford Field on Thursday night for their biggest game of the season and allowed the Detroit Lions to lead wire-to-wire in a 44-30 victory. It was a pivotal game on the playoff bubble between two postseason hopefuls, but Dallas saw its hopes slip a bit further down the drain following a commanding Lions win. The Cowboys are back to .500 at 6-6-1, as 4 games remain for some sort of magic to ensue to find their way into playing in the second week of January. It's not over, but it sure feels that way. After a loss that drops the Cowboys back down to .500, the playoff odds go from outside chance to in need of a lot of help. It isn't quite in miracle-needed territory, but it could trend that way after this weekend's NFL action. Per the Athletics playoff odds, the Cowboys could see some life put back into their playoff chances with a Chargers win over the Eagles on Monday night. If that result happens and the Cowboys win the 4 remaining games on their schedule, 4 games that they should be favored in, they have a 51% chance of making the postseason. But, just look at it. That's a long paragraph. That's the territory the Cowboys now find themselves in, the ifs and buts land. Remember those stark defensive improvements since the bye week? Well, this felt reminiscent of some of the performances by opposing offenses early in the season. When the Cowboys' offense found a spark and cut the Lions' lead to 30-27 with 9:52 remaining in the game, the unit desperately needed the defense to get a stop. Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs combined for 120 yards and 3 touchdowns, and quarterback Jared Goff threw for 309 yards and a touchdown. Back to the drawing board for a unit that has had its fair share of ups and downs all season. The Cowboys had a chance in the second half of this ballgame, and that can be directly attributed to the right leg of kicker Brandon Aubrey. After multiple Cowboys offensive drives stalled out in the shallow portions of Lions territory, head coach Brian Schottenheimer had decisions on whether to punt, go for it, or trot out Aubrey. He went with the latter every time. On the night, Aubrey nailed field goals from 50. They weren't able to capitalize on the level of play from their kicker. Thursday night is the first kicker to do it twice, previously done on December 22, 2024, versus Tampa Bay. Heading into an off-season where Aubrey is set to be a restricted free agent, he's earned a deal that should make him one of the top-paid players at the position. Individual team errors proved costly and were partly responsible for the defeat. In the first half, Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson had 2 disastrous mistakes that put Dallas in compromising situations. Call it a 10-point or 4-point swing, the Cowboys hurt badly from 2 costly Ferguson mistakes as the Lions built their lead in the first half. For the second game in a row, Turpin was whistled for an invalid fair catch signal that sent the Dallas offense backward. On the season, the Cowboys have allowed 16 punts to be downed inside their own 20. And while that's not a direct indictment on Turpin, 8 of those have come in the past 3 games. NFL insiders blast Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens for unacceptable lack of effort. If you're an NFL owner thinking about paying Dallas Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens something in the range of $40 million per year next season, watching him play in a Week 14 loss to the Detroit Lions may have made you think twice. It wasn't just that Pickens had a bad game against the Lions with just 5 receptions for 37 yards on 9 targets. It was how he went about having a bad game that had multiple NFL insiders aghast afterwards. Pickens was also called for 2 penalties against the Lions, one for illegal hands to the face and one for offensive pass interference. George Pickens seemed uninterested in playing football tonight, Super Bowl champion cornerback and Amazon Prime analyst Richard Sherman said following the game. He seemed completely disengaged, he disappeared and half-assed it. Totally unacceptable. Pickens is second in the NFL in receiving with 78 receptions for 1,179 yards and 8 touchdowns through 13 games. It's just lackadaisical play and you cannot have an off and on switch, former NFL wide receiver and ESPN analyst Harry Douglas said on Get Up on Friday, December 5th. Every time you take the field you have to say you're gonna dominate the man across from me. Everything you have to do has to be full speed. It's also not the first time Pickens has been called on the carpet for lack of effort this season. Pickens' effort in the season opener against the Philadelphia Eagles was equally offensive to NFL experts. The Cowboys traded a 2026 third-round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers in exchange for Pickens in May. Not enough effort, not enough commitment to the team, former NFL offensive lineman and three-time Pro Bowler Taylor Lewan said on ESPN's Get Up on September 11th. The Cowboys need more from you when the ball's not coming your way. There needs to be a full package of commitment from George Pickens. You're a massively talented young man, but we can't have you jogging in run concepts. You've got to be all in. I need to watch that tape and know you're fully committed on every snap. Pickens was a second-round pick, number 52 overall, in the 2022 NFL Draft and is in the final season of his 4-year, $6.75 million rookie contract. The final straw for the Steelers came when Pickens showed up late to a Christmas Day game against the Kansas City Chiefs. In the Cowboys, he was also benched for the first series of a Week 11 win over the Las Vegas Raiders after he missed the team bus to the stadium. We saw it with the Steelers, ESPN's Adam Schefter said. Pickens doesn't give effort when he doesn't have the ball. The solution isn't going to be head coach Brian Schottenheimer calling him into his office to talk. It needs to be Dak Prescott talking to him and asking him if he's really all in. The Cowboys should be getting maximum effort from Pickens. He's looking at $25 to $30 million per year if he performs, so how hard is this to get him to show effort? In Pittsburgh he was somebody they couldn't count on, maximum talent but the effort isn't there.